You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Gulseth.
I'm Andy Bates.
It's weird when we do that backwards. I always want to say I'm Andy Bates because that's how it goes in my head. Oh,
You're not.
Man. It's just, yeah. So it's summer. It's June. It is Tuesday. I confirmed before we came back on the air because I don't know what day it is. And that means that kids are hopefully staying busy doing things other than looking at screens. Art, maybe some STEM camps, summer camps. But art's one of my favorite things to stay busy with over the summer.
I hadn't noticed.
I do love art.
Do you have any pictures of your cubicle on the like the KFUO
I think
page
probably
or Facebook?
Not. No.
Oh, yeah. If you had pictures of that, people would really know that you love art. Anyway,
I do
go
love
ahead.
art. It's true. I mean, yeah. Joining us by phone, Jamie Truwe, artist of Pure Joy Creative in Cole Camp, Missouri. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. So you have an art camp this summer, but before we get to those details, tell us a little bit about why you love teaching art to kids.
Well, kids are innately creative. They kind of just come out with this ability that you don't even always see or expect to be there. And I love the way their minds think, because so often I give them an artistic problem to solve, and they solve it so different than I would have. And I'm like, yes, that's amazing. So I think to harness that creativity and just to give them the freedom to be creative and to try some new things and, do art in so many different ways. It just, I don't know, it just brings me joy to see how they can do that and come up with new things.
What can they learn? What can they gain through that creative experience, through creating art?
Sure. So many things. We have learned so many from reading studies that kids are more likely to be recognized for academic achievement if they're doing art. They are learning to be inventive. They are learning to feed the curiosity in their brain. They're learning motor skills, simply by learning how to hold a paintbrush or use the scissors correctly. They're learning language development because there's new words that they have to learn, and that will help them in the future, too, to describe things when they're, doing reading or writing and that sort of stuff. They learn how to problem solve, and they learn how to criticize and just see the visual information and make choices based on that. So really, art impacts their whole life, whether they realize it or not.
Absolutely. It's a bit of a cathartic space for me now as an adult, but I remember as a kid, I think my summers were there. I think my parents still have a lot of my weird artwork that I just randomly made as a kid over the summer, but it's such a great outlet.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, when you're out of school and don't have to think about school, but you still want to keep your kids' brains active.
Yeah.
It's a great way to kind of switch gears a little bit.
Right. If you think about it, if we didn't have art, think about how boring our world would be. Kids' backpacks would be gray. We wouldn't have anything on our walls. It would just be terrible. Art is just in every aspect of our life. It's so important.
It's true. Color is one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Share with us a story or two of some kids that have taken, that you've had in your art camp in past summers.
Sure. Well, this is actually my second art camp. I've been dreaming about doing an art camp for 5 or 6 years, and somehow it just never worked out, kind of because I had little kids, and now my kids are getting bigger. But it is so fun to see their faces light up when you tell them what they're going to do. and then they kind of get stumped for a second, and they're like, oh, but I want to see your example. And I'm like, I don't really want to show you my example, because a lot of times they end up copying. Copying isn't bad. There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of how you learn. But I want them to be creative in their own minds, and so I kind of hesitate to show them an example. But anyway, they do get the examples. They see, what they could do, and then they're kind of just given freedom. And it's so fun to see what they put together. I taught art in a Lutheran school the past 2 years, and I'm going to again this year. And one of the things that surprised me the most was kids that had troubles, paying attention or sitting still, really enjoyed weaving. like that tactile, I guess, just using both hands and their brain at the same time. I don't know, but they just sat still and they got to it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, there's so many different kinds of artwork. I think especially when you talk to someone that maybe isn't an art or don't think they're an artistic person, and they think, well, I can't draw, so I'm not an artist. But there's a lot of different ways of being artistic.
For sure. There really are. And I at the beginning of every school year, I have the kids write out a Bible verse, and I talk to them about how God is our creator, and we are created in his image. And so if he was creator and he is creative, then so are we. And I always tell my kids, like, don't tell me you're not creative, because you are, because someone put that in your head, and I'm sorry. So let's get that out of your head, and let's just be who you are and let it come out on the paper or, in the weaving or whatever.
How to get creative in weaving. Now,
weaving is so fun.
It's
Fabric
awesome.
art is amazing.
Yeah.
that's impressive. Now, I've done arts and crafts at camp before, using like lanyard stuff,
popsicle sticks.
Yeah, weaving. Not a lot of popsicle sticks, but lots of lanyard crafts and lots of weaving with that. But tell us the details about your camp this summer.
Sure. I actually am doing 2 camps this year, one for K through 4th graders, and that is actually starting next week, Monday through Thursday. And it's here at our Lutheran school from 9 to 11:30. And then I'm going to do one for the older kids, 5th through 8th graders, the second week of July, so the 8th through the 11th, and it's the same time and same place. And last year I did it all in the same week, and I just did a morning and an afternoon, and I was wiped out. So I learned from my mistakes, and this year we're separating everything. But we're going to do really fun things. We've got clay projects, we've got weaving, we've got some spray paint art, we're totally doing tie-dye, all the good stuff.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I think we need to make a road trip.
Right?
I
You guys
do,
should.
but
It would be awesome.
it's going to have to be on the way to the National Youth Gathering.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, stop it.
Just a little detour. That's all.
Fine.
That would be fun. So kids who are finishing kindergarten through 4th grade, that's coming up next week.
Yep.
And then kids finishing 5th through 8th grade coming up July 8th through 11th. And we'll provide a link as well. Is that right, Sarah?
I believe so.
We'll provide a link. And how can we point people to find out more?
You can just go to my website, www.purejoycreative.com, and it should be the first thing on there.
purejoycreative.com. That's pretty easy to remember.
It is.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Now,
It should be.
I want to go make something.
Right. See? It's everywhere.
Inspiring
and
creativity.
It's really cathartic, like Sarah said.
really
Like, everyone needs that moment of release somehow.
What is, aside from camp, what's your favorite art to create?
Oh, goodness. It depends on the day. But I really love acrylic, and I'm really learning to love watercolors also. But I love to get my hands dirty with clay, too. So it really depends on the day.
They're all cathartic in a different way.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I realized when you said cathartic earlier? The word art is in there.
Yes,
It's
it
true.
is.
Sorry.
That's not by accident.
That was really bad play on words. So registration available at purejoycreative.com. Anything else we need to know to prepare for camp?
Just come with clothes you don't care if they get dirty.
Or that they too become new art.
It's
Right.
all art.
Yeah, well, that's fine, too.
What about the kids who think they're not creative?
Well, again, like I kind of said earlier, I really try to stress to them, like, just try. One thing I tell my kids right off the bat, even at art camp, is we don't say the word can't. I don't allow them to say can't, or I don't allow them to say my art is terrible. And I just tell them from the get-go, like, that's just not allowed. Because you can. It might not look like Picasso, and that's okay. And it might not look like mine, and that's good. Because we're all different, and we're all created individuals. So we need to let our own creativity shine. So I just kind of, like, try to put the kibosh on. I'm not artistic.
Yeah. How do you teach or guide kids through that I don't know, that learning experience of, well, my art doesn't look like somebody else's, but maybe they're better at a certain style of art than I am? Because I went through that too in grade school as an artist.
Yeah, I did too. And I think I'm still learning how to teach that, but I think it's really just kind of talking them through it and pointing out their strengths in a certain piece. and kind of learning who the kids are. Since I'm going to have the kids for the third year, I'm getting to know them pretty well, and that helps also. So art camp might be a little bit tricky just because I'll have some new kids that I don't know as well. However, the kids coming to art camp want to do art, so I probably won't encounter that too much, as much as I do in the classroom where some kids think that it's a waste of time. Mm-hmm. So I think I just really kind of have to talk them through it and show them the importance of it and just remind them, like, I'm not grading this on how much it looks like the example. I'm grading this on how you follow the rules and if you try hard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So for parents who maybe aren't near Cole Camp, are there resources that these parents can access to maybe guide their own kids through some art examples or lessons this summer at home?
Yes, for sure. There are so many blogs and websites out there. One that I really love is called Kitchen Table Classroom, and she's a former teacher, but she's homeschooling her children now, and she puts great things out there and step-by-step instructions, videos, and they're easy. And a lot of times you're just using things you already have at home. So go hang out on Pinterest for a little while, and you can find, a plethora of ideas.
That's true.
And then you'll get stuck in the Pinterest web. But,
Yeah. There are worse things.
Right.
Now, you mentioned earlier, we only have 30 seconds left, but you mentioned earlier spray paint art.
Yes.
Now, some might assume that's graffiti, but
right.
That's not where we're going with this.
No, we're not going with graffiti. We've got a canvas board, and we're going to kind of do a relief, and they're going to, put like something down, spray paint over it, and then move it away so you have the negative space, and then overlapping. And, kids don't get to play with spray paint often, so we thought it would be perfect for art camp.
This is true.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm not allowed to use, children are not allowed to use spray paint. Our guest today, Jamie Truwe, artist of Pure Joy Creative in Cole Camp, Missouri. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's see.
I'm going to go do artwork now.
Totally train wrecked. Yesterday it was food, today it's art. Thanks for joining us for the coffee hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.